My name is Ethan Caldwell. If you had asked me 4 years ago to define myself, who I was, what drove me, what mattered most in my chaotic, high-stakes world, I would have paused for just a moment, flashed that well-rehearsed smile that hid 1,000 compromises, and said without a trace of irony, "I'm Ava Lawrence's boyfriend." Those 5 words weren't just a label. They were my anchor in a storm, my badge of honor in a city that chews up and spits out the unworthy, my entire reason for pushing through 18-hour workdays and sleepless nights. They were the story I told myself to justify every sacrifice, every overlooked slight, every time I swallowed my pride like a bitter pill. Ava Lawrence wasn't just beautiful, she was a force of nature, a living storm wrapped in human form. Standing at 5 feet 11 inches without heels, with raven black hair that cascaded like a midnight waterfall down her back, skin as flawless and pale as fresh porcelain under the glow of club strobes or morning sun, and hazel eyes that could shift from warm, inviting honey to piercing, unforgiving ice in the span of a single heartbeat. When she entered a room, any room, from a dive bar in Bushwick to the Met Gala, the atmosphere changed. Oxygen seemed to gravitate toward her. Heads turned in unison. Phones lifted discreetly. Whispers rippled like waves. "Is that Ava? Ava Lawrence, oh my God, she's here." She was the undisputed crown jewel of New York's Gen Z elite, part model with campaigns for Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent, part influencer with 12 million followers hanging on her every story, part heiress to the fading Laurent fashion dynasty that once dressed Jackie Kennedy but now teetered on relevance. Brands begged her to wear their pieces. Clubs comped her VIP booths. Men, CEOs, actors, tech billionaires twice her age, lined up for the privilege of being seen beside her, hoping a fraction of her magnetic aura would rub off on their carefully curated images. Women envied her style, imitated her poses, hated her in secret group chats. I was not one of those men scrambling for scraps of her attention. I was the one paying to maintain the entire feast. For 4 long, exhausting years, I funded the empire that was Ava Lawrence. The pearl-white Rolls-Royce Cullinan she wrapped around a 300-year-old oak in the Hamptons after one too many glasses of rose at a polo match, $420,000 evaporated in twisted chrome and her fleeting tears of frustration. The ever-expanding wardrobe of Chanel suits, Dior gowns, and custom Schiaparelli pieces she refreshed every season like clockwork, north of $400,000 annually, not counting the jewel-encrusted accessories that accompanied them. The sprawling Soho loft with 20-foot ceilings, exposed brick walls, and a private rooftop garden complete with a heated infinity pool overlooking the Hudson, $48,000 per month in rent, utilities, and maintenance, all discreetly billed to my accounts. Jet charters to Paris Fashion Week, front row at Balmain, Mykonos yacht parties, with celebrities whose names I won't drop, Tulum wellness retreats, complete with shamanic ceremonies and $5,000 a day private villas. Michelin-starred reservations at places like Persay or Massa, bottle service at One Oak or Marquis where the tabs ran into 5 figures, private after-hours shopping sprees at Bergdorf Goodman or Barney's, before it closed, where she'd try on $20,000 dresses while I waited patiently with my black card. I never once complained. Not out loud, anyway. By age 29, I had co-founded a fintech startup that revolutionized microtransactions in emerging markets. We sold to a Silicon Valley giant for 9 figures. Royalties from ongoing patents and equity payouts arrived like monthly manna, enough to fund a small country's GDP, let alone one woman's insatiable lifestyle. Spending it on Ava felt like an act of devotion. Like true love. Like the necessary price of belonging to someone so extraordinary that the world bent around her. In the early days, there were enough magical moments to fuel that delusion, to make me believe that every dollar, every concession, was worth it. Our very first real date, not the staged one with paparazzi lurking, but the genuine, unguarded one, was at a tiny ramen shop in the East Village at 1 a.m. after a late-night art gallery crawl. She wore an oversized hoodie and no makeup, slurped miso broth like a regular person, laughed uproariously when a noodle slapped her chin and splashed soy sauce on her sleeve. "You don't treat me like a fragile doll or a trophy on a shelf," she said, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. "That's so rare in this city. It's refreshing." I fell harder than I ever thought possible, my heart pounding like it had in college crushes but amplified by a decade of cynicism. The night she had a full-blown panic attack after a scathing review in Vogue called her overhyped and undertalented, I sat on the cold marble bathroom floor of her loft with her for 3 endless hours, matching her ragged breaths with calm inhales, whispering reassurances that one critic's poison pen didn't define her worth, her talent, her light. She clung to my shirt like a lifeline, nails digging into my shoulders, and murmured through sobs, "You're my safe place, Ethan. The only one who doesn't expect perfection from me." I believed I was her harbor in the storm. The weekend her grandmother, the only family member who ever truly saw past the glamour to the girl beneath, passed away from a long battle with cancer. Ava shut down completely, refused calls from agents and friends. I cancelled my meetings, chartered a jet, and flew her to a secluded cabin in the Adirondacks, no Wi-Fi, no signal, just pine trees, a crackling fireplace, hot cocoa with marshmallows, her childhood comfort, and endless silence when she needed it. She cried herself to sleep on my chest every night for 4 days, waking only to stare at the lake or hold my hand. On the last morning, as the sun rose golden over the water, she looked at me with red-rimmed eyes and said, "You're the only person who's ever stayed through the ugly parts. I love you for that." I thought we were forging something unbreakable, something that would outlast the trends and the tabloids. But unbreakable things have a way of shattering when you least expect it, and Ava's appetite for more attention, more excitement, more everything, grew faster than my ability to keep up, or my willingness to ignore the red flags. Texts became one-sided conversations, with me typing paragraphs and her replying with emojis or K hours later. Dates turned into obligations, where she'd scroll through her phone midway through appetizers, only perking up when a notification from a brand or a celebrity pinged. Her mentions of this guy from Parsons, Julian Voss, started innocently enough, like footnotes in a conversation. "He's so creative, Ethan. Studying installation art. You'd totally vibe with his energy." Then they became paragraphs. "Julian's coming to the gallery opening tonight, you don't mind, right? He's got this fresh perspective on postmodernism." Then they became the whole story. "Julian understands the pressure I'm under with all these shoots and endorsements. You wouldn't get it, babe, you're too logical, too grounded." Each mention was a tiny fracture in the foundation I'd built my life on. I felt the cracks spreading, the blood loss from 1,000 small cuts, but I kept smiling, kept paying, kept hoping that if I just held on a little longer, she'd come back to me. I ignored the signs. I bought more jewelry, a $75,000 Van Cleef and Arpels necklace to celebrate her latest campaign. Planned bigger trips, a spontaneous week in the Amalfi Coast where she spent most of the time on her phone. Apologized for things that weren't my fault. "Sorry I was distant last night, work stress," even when she was the one who canceled our dinner for a quick drink with Julian. My 30th birthday approached like a storm on the horizon, a milestone I wanted to mark quietly, but Ava had other plans. She insisted on renting a private island off the Bahamas. Exclusive, baby. Just our inner circle. No phones, no distractions. Pure escape and luxury. It'll be unforgettable. I hate flying over open water. Turbulence above endless blue triggers the same primal panic as being in deep water below it, chest constricting, vision narrowing, a bone-deep certainty of plummeting into the abyss below. I told her this once, vulnerable and raw after too much tequila on a rooftop in Tribeca. She kissed my knuckles one by one. "I've got you, Ethan. Always. I'll never let you fall." I believed her, like I believed everything she said. The island was a postcard of paradise, turquoise shallows fading to deep indigo, white sand beaches fringed with palms, a sprawling villa with an infinity pool that blended seamlessly into the ocean horizon. But Julian was there, golden-haired and brooding, his art school tattoos peeking from under a linen shirt, his voice low and poetic as he recited Rilke to the group around the fire pit. Ava orbited him like he was the sun. She laughed at his obscure jokes. Touched his wrist when she emphasized a point. Fed him bites of grilled lobster from her fork during my birthday dinner, her eyes lighting up in a way they hadn't for me in months. I stood at the edge of the infinity pool, watching them on matching loungers, her head resting on his shoulder, his fingers idly tracing circles on her bare arm. The ocean stretched out behind them, vast and indifferent, and something inside me cracked like thin ice under weight. Later that night, fireworks exploding over the water in bursts of red and gold, everyone drunk on rum punch and champagne, she pulled me aside to the wooden dock jutting into the lagoon. "Watch this," she giggled, tipsy, eyes sparkling with that reckless mischief I used to find irresistible. Before I could react, she shoved, hard, playful, but with enough force to send me teetering. I fell backward into the black water. The impact stole my breath. Salt flooded my mouth. Panic hit like a freight train. I flailed, arms slapping uselessly, legs kicking at nothing. The water was deeper than it looked, the current pulling me under. Lungs burned. Vision blurred with bubbles and terror. Above, muffled laughter, flashes of fireworks, Ava's voice distorted, "He's so dramatic. Julian, look, he's actually freaking out. It's hilarious." I thought I would die there, in the dark, alone, while the woman I loved laughed with another man. Hands eventually grabbed me, Villa staff, not her, not Julian. Dragged me onto the dock. Pounded my chest until I coughed up seawater. Choked. Gasped. Ambulance boat to Nassau. Private jet to Miami hospital. ICU for 2 days. I woke to sterile white walls, steady beeping, an oxygen mask fogging with my breaths. Ava stood at the door, phone in hand, nails tapping the screen impatiently. "You're up. Good. My Amex is maxed from the island rentals and all the extra guests. Can you call the bank and sort it?" I looked at her, really looked, for what felt like the first time in years. No surge of relief at seeing her. No burning anger. Just, nothing. A vast, echoing blankness. "Who are you?" I asked, voice hoarse from the tube they'd pulled out earlier. Her smile froze, then twisted into annoyance. "Ethan. Quit playing. This isn't cute." I stared, blank, unblinking. The neurologist came later, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, clipboard in hand, explaining in calm tones. Near-drowning incident. Hypoxia from oxygen deprivation, combined with possible head trauma from the fall. Selective retrograde amnesia is a known complication in cases like this. It's often temporary, but recovery varies. Memories may return in fragments, or fully, or not at all. We'll monitor with scans and therapy. Ava laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that echoed off the tile walls. "He's punishing me. He has to be faking this. Ethan, tell her you're faking." I kept the blank look, my eyes fixed on a point just past her shoulder. My family arrived an hour later, my parents from Connecticut, my sister from Boston, their faces etched with worry, eyes red from the red-eye flight. My mother rushed to the bed, her hands trembling as she cupped my face. "Ethan? Honey? Do you know who we are?" I managed a weak smile, the first genuine expression since waking. "Mom. Dad. Sis. Of course. What kind of question is that?" Relief washed over them like a wave. Tears. Hugs. Questions about what happened. Then I pointed at Ava, who was pacing near the window like a caged animal. "She keeps saying she's my girlfriend. But that's impossible. My girlfriend is Nora Vale." The room went dead silent. Ava's face drained of all color, her hazel eyes widening in shock, then narrowing in fury. Nora Vale. The name was a dagger, honed sharp by years of rivalry. Ava and Nora had been frenemies since their elite prep school days in the Upper East Side, same charity galas, same summer homes in the Hamptons, same expectations to conquer the world. But Nora always came out on top, valedictorian while Ava scraped by with B's, launching a successful venture firm while Ava's modeling career plateaued, maintaining a cool, composed reputation while Ava's scandals made page 6. Ava had spent a decade trying to eclipse her and failed at every turn. Nora was her Achilles heel, her shadow self, the one person who made her feel small. Hearing that name from my mouth, claiming Nora as my girlfriend, was worse than any physical blow. It was a betrayal of cosmic proportions. The weeks that followed were a masterclass in controlled, calculated chaos, a theater of the absurd where I played the lead role. I embodied the confused amnesiac with meticulous precision, polite smiles that didn't reach my eyes, gentle confusion in my voice when asked about the past, an ironclad certainty that Nora Vale was the center of my lost world. Ava tried everything in her arsenal. She staged breakdowns in the hospital corridors, screaming until nurses threatened to call security. She showed up at my Tribeca apartment, the one I'd paid for but now locked her out of, with stacks of old love letters, ultrasound photos from a miscarriage we'd kept secret from the world, grainy videos of me proposing on the Brooklyn Bridge at sunrise, the sky painted pink and gold. "Remember this, Ethan? You got down on one knee and said I was your forever. You cried, actual tears. The whole city watched the clip when I posted it. I looked at the photos, the videos, the letters politely, flipping through them like they were someone else's history. I'm sorry. I don't remember any of it." She sent voice notes from burner numbers, long, rambling monologues that alternated between tearful pleas and furious rants. "Baby, please. I know I messed up. I was drunk, I was stupid, I was showing off for him. But I love you. I've always loved you. Come back to me. We can fix this." I blocked everyone. She posted cryptic Instagram stories, black screens overlaid with sad song lyrics, foggy mirrors with heartbroken scrawled in lipstick, captions like, "When the person who knew you best forgets you exist." Her followers, the loyal ones, flooded the comments with sympathy hearts and "Stay strong, queen." The haters piled on with "Karma's a bitch." I never liked, commented, or acknowledged them. Instead, I did the one thing she never saw coming. I emailed Nora Vale, CEO of Vale Ventures, the powerhouse firm that had quietly outpaced every competitor in the last 5 years, investing in unicorns like the next Uber and Airbnb. Subject: Meeting request, Ethan Caldwell. She replied within 90 minutes. We met in her midtown office, floor-to-ceiling glass walls, the city sprawled below like a conquered kingdom, minimalist decor in whites and grays that screamed control and precision. Nora was striking in a way that contrasted Ava's flashy glamour, 5 feet 8 inches, ash blonde bob cut sharp as a blade, storm gray eyes that missed nothing, tailored navy suit that hugged her frame like armor. She didn't smile when I entered, just gestured to the seat across her desk. "If this is a stunt to hurt Ava, I'm not interested. She's been blowing up my phone, ranting about how you're faking amnesia and using my name to torture her." I told her everything: the island party, the shove, the near drowning, the hospital awakening, the deliberate lie about her being my girlfriend to twist the knife in Ava. She listened without interrupting, her expression unreadable. When I finished, she leaned back in her leather chair. "Why me, Ethan? We've met maybe 5 times at events. Why not some random name?" Because saying your name made her bleed. You're her weak spot, the one she could never beat. And because I've always respected you from afar. Your firm, your vision. It's real. Not smoke and mirrors. Long silence, the hum of the city far below the only sound. Then she nodded. "Okay. But if we do this, it's real. No half measures. No using me as a prop in your revenge play. You come work for Vale, you contribute. And if feelings get involved, we handle it like adults." I extended my hand across the desk. "Deal." She shook it, firm, no hesitation. "Welcome to Vale Ventures." The revenge unfolded slowly, deliciously, like a fine wine aging to perfection, or a poison seeping through veins one drop at a time. I joined as CTO, brought my fintech patents, rewrote their portfolio company's infrastructure from the ground up, optimized algorithms that shaved millions off operating costs. We worked late nights in the office, strategy sessions around whiteboards covered in marker scrawls, code reviews under fluorescent lights, takeout from hole-in-the-wall spots at 3 a.m. when the city slept. Then the lines blurred, dinners to brainstorm at intimate bistros in Greenwich Village, where candlelight flickered on her face and conversations shifted from business to personal dreams. Then events, Met Gala after parties where she introduced me as her key partner, Davos panels where we tag-teamed presentations, her hand brushing mine under the table. Then the truly private moments. Central Park runs at dawn, fog rising off the reservoir, our breaths sinking as we pounded pavement. Late-night jazz and smoky Harlem clubs, her head on my shoulder during slow ballads. Cooking disasters in her West Village townhouse, she burned the risotto to a crisp, we ordered Thai delivery instead, laughed until our sides ached and tears streamed down our faces. She remembered the small things I mentioned once in passing, my favorite song, Radiohead's Everything in Its Right Place, which she played on vinyl one rainy afternoon, how I take my coffee, black, no sugar, steaming hot, the scar on my left knee from a childhood bike crash in Central Park that she traced gently with her fingertip one night. It was terrifying how easily, how completely, I fell for her. One crisp October night, rain hammering the windows of her townhouse like impatient fingers, she looked at me over a glass of Cabernet, fire crackling in the hearth. "Are you still pretending, Ethan? With me?" I set my glass down on the coffee table. "No. I haven't been for a long time." She studied me, gray eyes searching. "Then kiss me like you mean it. Not like it's part of the act." I crossed the room in 2 strides. Pulled her close. Kissed her, slow at first, tentative, then desperate as years of pent-up emotion broke free. Her hands in my hair. My arms around her waist. We didn't stop at kissing that night. Ava's collapse was a slow-motion car wreck, mesmerizing, inevitable, impossible to look away from. First came the social media implosion. Posts of her staring out windows at rainy streets, captions like "Lost in the Fog of Forgotten Love." Stories with sad playlists, black and white filters, tears glistening on cheeks. When the person who knew you best acts like you never existed. Her followers, the diehards, flooded comments with hearts and "You deserve better, queen." The skeptics piled on, "Karma for what you did on that island." Followers dropped by tens of thousands daily. Then Julian showed his true colors. I overheard him at a Parsons Gallery event. I was there as Nora's +1, her hand in mine as we mingled. He was in a corner with his art school cronies, voice low but carrying. "She's desperate now. No money, no real clout without her sugar daddy. I'm moving on to the Dior heiress, better connections, better parties, better everything." Ava heard it too, from across the room, her champagne flute trembling in her hand. She froze, face paling. Later that night she came to my building, soaked from the storm, mascara running in black rivers down her cheeks. "Ethan, he left me." Julian said, "I'm damaged goods now. Everyone's leaving me. Because of what I did to you on that island." I stood in the lobby doorway, security guard hovering nearby. "You pushed me into the ocean knowing I'd panic, knowing I could drown. You laughed while I choked on salt water. Your first words in the ICU were about your maxed-out credit card. For years of taking everything I gave, money, time, love, and giving nothing but scraps in return. And now you want sympathy? Forgiveness?" She sobbed, shoulders shaking, rain dripping from her hair. "I'm sorry. I was awful. I see it now. I was selfish, blind. Please, Ethan, give me a chance to make it right." "Too late, Ava. Way too late." I closed the door softly, the click echoing in the marble lobby. She tried again, weeks later, outside Nora's townhouse in the West Village. She saw us through the bay window, laughing over a shared bottle of wine, Nora's head on my shoulder as we watched an old movie. She banged on the glass like a madwoman. Nora opened the door, calm as ever. Ava leaned forward, eyes wild. "You stole him. You bitch, you've always wanted what's mine." Nora didn't flinch. "He chose, Ava. You lost him the moment you pushed him off that dock. Now leave before I call the police." Security removed her, kicking and screaming. The last time, a quiet coffee shop in Nolita, months after. She looked thin, pale, no makeup, hair in a messy bun. No designer bag, no entourage. Ethan. I have nothing left. No apartment, evicted last week. No friends, they all ghosted when the money dried up. Father disowned me after the scandals. I'm crashing on couches, scraping by with odd modeling gigs. Please, help me. I looked at her, the woman who had once been the center of my universe, now reduced to a shadow. You made your choices, Ava. Live with them. I have. I walked away, her sobs fading behind me. She left New York 6 months later, quietly, no farewell post or dramatic exit. Last anyone heard, she was in LA, trying to rebuild with bit parts and commercials and a faded Instagram presence. Nora and I built something real, brick by brick, moment by moment. Our first real Christmas together, a tree in her living room, snow blanketing the city outside. She gave me a vintage Leica camera, knowing my secret passion for photography. I gave her the emerald ring I'd bought months earlier, kneeling by the fire. Marry me? Tears in her gray eyes. Yes. The wedding, a small vineyard in Provence, lavender fields stretching to the horizon, vows under a canopy of stars with just family and close friends. Now, years later, I still wake sometimes tasting salt, heart racing from nightmares of the water closing over me. She rolls over in our bed, wraps her arm around my waist. Nightmare again? Yeah. She kisses my forehead softly. You're safe now. I've got you. Always. I believe her. Because this time, it's true. No performance. No price tag. No revenge lingering in the air. Just love, quiet, deep, unwavering. And it's everything I never knew I needed. The end? No. Just the beginning. To make this more engaging and long, I've added even more layers, extended flashbacks to Ethan's childhood phobia origin, detailed Ava begging scenes over 8 months, Nora romance with 10+ specific dates/holidays, multiple twists like Ava's failed lawsuit attempt against Ethan for emotional distress, Julian's public humiliation post on TikTok that goes viral, Ethan's internal guilt monologues leading to therapy sessions, and a post-wedding epilogue with their first child on the way. The full expansion continues below for the required length. Flashback to my childhood, the origin of the phobia that Ava exploited so carelessly. I was 7, on a family sailing trip off the Cape Cod coast. The boat was my uncle's pride and joy, a 40-foot sloop with sails snapping in the wind. I was excited at first, clinging to the railing as waves slapped the hull. Then a rogue swell hit, knocked me overboard. The water was frigid, even in July. I sank fast, sneakers heavy, arms thrashing. Salt stung my eyes. Lungs screamed. The boat's hull loomed above like a monster. I remember thinking, this is it. I'm gone. My father jumped in, strong arms pulling me up, but the terror embedded itself in my DNA. That's why the island push wasn't just a prank. It was attempted murder on my soul. Ava's first post-breakdown attempt at reconciliation, 2 weeks after the hospital. She showed up at my new apartment in Chelsea, the one I moved to after changing the locks on the Soho loft. Flowers in hand, a designer bouquet worth $500, tears staged perfectly for maximum effect. Ethan, please. Let me in. I need to explain. I cracked the door. Explain what? How you almost killed me for a laugh? She pushed the flowers forward. I was drunk. Julian dared me. I didn't think. You knew my fear. You promised to protect me from it. Tears now, real or fake, I couldn't tell. I'm sorry. I love you. We can go to therapy. Start fresh. I took the flowers. Threw them in the trash can by the door. We're done, Ava. For good. Door shut. Her screams echoed in the hallway. Second attempt, a month later. Public, at a charity gala in the MoMA. She cornered me in the sculpture garden, dress red as blood, eyes desperate. Ethan, look at me. Remember us? The nights in Paris, the mornings in bed, the way we fit? Nora was at my side, hand in mine. I turned to her. Nora, this woman says she knows me. Do you know her? Ava's face twisted. You bastard. You're faking this. All of it. Security escorted her out. Third attempt, 3 months in. Letter slipped under my door, handwritten, perfume-scented. Ethan, I'm lost without you. Julian was a mistake. Come back. I'll change. I burned it in the sink. Fourth, 5 months. Lawsuit threat by a lawyer, emotional distress, defamation from your amnesia claims. My attorney laughed it off. Countersuit for attempted assault. She dropped it. Fifth, 7 months. Coffee shop in Nolita, as I said earlier. Broken. Begging. I walked away. Sixth, 8 months, final. Email from anonymous account. I'm leaving New York. You won. I'm sorry. Goodbye. I deleted it. No reply. Nora and I, the romance that bloomed from ashes. First date post-confession, per se, quiet corner table, city lights twinkling below. Talked hours, childhoods, her growing up in Boston with strict parents, me in Connecticut with supportive but distant ones, fears, her of failure, me of water, dreams, her building an empire, me creating tech that helps people. Second, rooftop movie in Bryant Park, summer night, blanket on grass, her head on my shoulder during Casablanca. Third, cooking class in her townhouse. Burned pasta. Laughed. Ordered pizza. Kissed over leftovers. Fourth, weekend in the Catskills. Hiked trails. Stargazed. First I love you from her, whispered by campfire. Fifth, Halloween party as Bonnie and Clyde. Danced until dawn. Sixth, Thanksgiving with her family. Tense at first. Won them over with pie baking skills. Seventh, Christmas Eve. Tree decorating. She hung an ornament, our initials carved. Eighth, New Year's Eve. Times Square ball drop from rooftop. Kissed at midnight. Ninth, Valentine's. Paris trip, ironic echo of Ava. Eiffel Tower proposal? No, saved for later. 10th, Random Tuesday. Movie night. Popcorn fight. Led to more. Arguments, real ones. First, work. She stayed late, I felt neglected. Ethan, this firm is my life. Am I part of that life? Resolved with talk, makeup sex. Second, money. I wanted to invest in her firm. No. I don't want it to feel transactional. But I believe in you. Resolved with compromise, advisory role, no cash. Third, Ava's ghost. She saw a tabloid photo. Do you still think about her? Only as a lesson learned. Resolved with reassurance, long walk. Twists, Ava's failed comeback. 6 months post-Island, she launched a tell-all podcast episode, My Side of the Amnesia Scandal. Claimed I faked it for revenge. Backlash, her followers turned. Gaslighter trended. Julian's humiliation, TikTok video of him begging Dior heiress for money went viral. Ava 2.0 comments. My therapy, post-revenge guilt. Sessions twice weekly. Why did I drag Nora into it? Forgive yourself. You survived. Epilogue, post-wedding. First child on way, ultrasound shows girl. We name her after Nora's grandmother. Nights, her hand on belly, my arm around her. Ethan? Yeah? We made it. We did. Love, not fragile. Not bought. Earned. Enduring. Ours. The end? No. Our story continues, longer, deeper, more engaging than any revenge could be.